Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight for our first ever Impact Consulting Fellowship Huddle. Before we begin the presentation, I just want to let everyone know that this is being recorded for the University of Maryland. If you do not consent to having your video recorded at this time, please leave the meeting. But I'll let Nicole get us started this evening.
Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay? Awesome. Well, sorry, I was chewing, so hopefully that didn't come through. I'm feeding some kids dinner. First, I just want to stop and acknowledge the work that y'all have done over the past several weeks. We're in a global pandemic. We have had a lot of social unrest and social conversations around race, around identity. I know we have several international students here who kind of got a shock in the middle of the summer when they thought they might have to go home due to things that are happening at the university level. So I just want to stop and acknowledge that. And for anyone who's a parent out there like me, you're also kind of juggling things that you never had to juggle before. So you really should congratulate yourselves and feel proud of the fact that you're here, that you did this work, that you did it, well, that we have clients. I've been hearing from students kind of anecdotally that clients are really happy. They want you to present to the board. They want to see more. They want to continue to build their relationship with the University of Maryland. And that's just really powerful for me. So just take a minute to congratulate yourselves. This is a job well done, and you've made it. And I'm really excited about what we've been able to do together this summer. So your impact, right? We've worked with 23 impact-driven organizations, 145 students, 24 alumni engaged, and over 12,000 hours of pro bono consulting. And I do have one more homework assignment for you. So for those of you who had me in class, you know that I do experiential learning, and you know that one of the most important pieces of that is actually reflecting on the experience and your lessons learned once you are done with it. So there's no formal kind of class component here, at least that I'm aware of. Nima, I'm not sure if you have something. Okay. So I would encourage you, over the course of the next couple of days, especially after you finish your final presentation to your client, to really take a step back and reflect on what you've learned. What are some things you might have done differently? What are some things that you would do again in a heartbeat, right? What are some things you learned about yourself? What are some things you learned about working with a team? So I would give yourself an hour to sit with yourself, to journal around those questions, type it up, write it up in your journal, and think about how you're going to use this to move yourself forward with your own professional career journey. And know that we are here. We're happy to, if there's something that really is insightful that came through that we can do differently for the program, I know that's going to be a conversation that's continuing, because we do want to find ways to continue and build upon what we've done. But I also think that it's a really unique opportunity for you to reflect on your own learning. And that is an explicit part of what experiential learning is all about. It's that reflection piece where you're actually truly learning about what you've done. So I will stop talking there, and I'm looking forward to hearing some of the presentations. I'll probably mute my video because I do have children running around. So, but I'm really looking forward to seeing the work that you've done.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Nicole. For individuals who might not be familiar with Nicole, who are clients on this call or other alumni, Nicole is a professor in our management and operations department, but she is the new associate dean of the full-time MBA program for this upcoming school year. So we were so excited to partner with her throughout the course of this project.
Yeah, sorry, I'm terrible at introducing myself, so thank you, Nima.
No problem. For tonight's event, we are very excited to hear from all 23 of our teams, their presentations. The teams have prepared a 3-minute presentation about the work they have completed, the processes they went through, and also how the process they went through, and also how they feel at the end. But take that next step and truly journal, like Nicole said. For these presentations, we're not doing a hard stop at 3 minutes. There's no Oscar music to cut you off, but please be cognizant. There are a lot of presentations, so just keep it to 3 minutes. As we said before, this presentation is being recorded for anyone who has joined since I've announced that, so please be aware of that for the university. While you are presenting, You can unmute yourselves, but if you are not presenting, please stay on mute so there's no feedback. When you pause, we will transition to the next slide. So just when you take that second of breath, we'll move over to the next slide for you. And for some teams that didn't have title slides, we've just added a title slide to create a natural transition between your presentations. Halfway through, we are going to take a midpoint 5-minute break after our 11th presentation. And it'll be just a great time to get up and stretch and just enjoy a little breather. And for those of you who are Rising Smith sophomores and part of the iSmith experience and suitable, this will be a suitable event attending this event, and there will be a QR code at the end, as well as for any ICF students who participated in the program and are here from the beginning to the end of the presentations. We will be raffling off 2 $25 cash prizes for everyone who stays through to the end. So to begin things off, our first presentation of the night will be Dashboard.earth.
Hey, nice to meet you. It looks like I'll be presenting by myself tonight. So our client is Dashboard.earth. It's a content platform that seeds and incentivizes climate-friendly choices. So Dashboard.earth connects people, nonprofits, and eco-friendly businesses to help create a more sustainable future. The company's mission is to basically make it easier for people to get positive, personalized tips and advice they can turn into action and get rewarded for the steps they take. They help nonprofits and eco-friendly businesses connect with people who are concerned about the environment and are looking for solutions they can implement in their lives. So they crowdsource climate actions and deliver them to organizations by 1, providing personalized and localized activities or solutions. So for example, you might be presented with an article about making more sustainable choices in your community, whether it's as simple as being conscious of recycling or maybe even contributing to environmental campaigns. And 2, verify individual and collective action. So you build up an in-app merit for taking action and becoming educated with the resources it provides you. And 3, rewarding eco-friendly choices. So once you have enough verifiable actions, you may be rewarded with things such as discounts, coupons, or special offers. So our project wants to tackle the question, as DBE prepares for its first institutional investment, how should they best strategize and articulate their business plan to secure funders? So the scope of our project deals with the transitioning of DBE from a nonprofit to a for-profit institution, and from a B2C to a B2B2C company. So the end goal for the client is to ultimately be more consumer-based rather than business-based, and the main focus is LA. We managed the project through weekly client Zoom meetings where we presented weekly research findings, weekly team Zoom meetings where we discussed the expectations of the research, and communication through email, Slack, Google Drive, and GroupMe. Our project deliverables were focused on competitive analysis, revenue strategy, market analysis, go-to-market plan, and financial projections. So here are our recommendations to lay out the foundations for DBE. The first stage level is that DBE is an employee engagement and recognition app. It could target Fortune 500 companies with HQ in Los Angeles that may employ large numbers of millennials and have prominent sustainability goals. These companies may be addressed through the likes of employee resource groups, wellness programs, and corporate social responsibility budgets. We feel these were the most effective bridges for a DB to break through, and the pricing model for this stage includes a subscription-based model. The second stage is that DB is a smart city engagement app. With its central focus as LA, DB can break through the stage with government funding, stimulus, philanthropic donors, and local businesses. The pricing model at this stage would be commission or project-based.
Thanks so much, Michael. Our next team to present will be Great Dwellings.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex. I'll be presenting on behalf of our team along with, and Great Dwellings is also because of the hurricane, so I actually don't have power. So let me know if you need me to repeat anything or anything like that.
Alex, if you could repeat that first introduction, please. We lost you for a few seconds in between.
No problem. So I'm Alex Crystal. I'm being joined by Aislinn, and we're going to be presenting on behalf of our team for Great Dwellings. Next slide. There we go. I think skipped one. You can go back. There we go. So Great Dwellings is a DC-based property management firm. They help with short-term rentals, and basically they help companies and people put their homes onto Airbnb and other similar websites to rent out their place. And what they came with us to do is that they wanted to create a new initiative called Prosperous Communities. And this was to help low-income residents and elderly people who may be forced out of their homes and neighborhoods as a result of the increase in housing costs in the DC area. And they wanted us to find a way to use their talents in property management to generate a revenue stream for these low-income and elderly citizens. So our scope was to assess the viability of the initiative. So we created a business plan, we found the target market, we tried to mitigate the risks along with it, and then evaluate the financial feasibility. So for our process, we started by creating a customer journey map. We felt that in order to take this high-level strategy problem and really understand the full depth of it, we wanted to simulate what a client or a customer would go through from wanting to generate more revenue to finding out about Great Dwellings to renting their house and that whole process. And this was really able for us and the client to see all the pain points that are associated with the process, all the forms that they fill out, the tax regulations, all the possible barriers, and then how Great Dwellings and our team can mitigate those pain points and create a streamlined process. So after we created the user persona and the customer journey map, we then wanted to find that market that fit the user and our customer. And we found, after using various databases that the company provided for us and other resources that we had through the university, we were able to really pinpoint specific areas and filter the data to fit the needs of our market. We then reviewed the relevant regulations by doing some research into short-term rental regulation and actually calling up consultant agencies and having them speak to us about different tax credits and abilities for Great Dwellings to receive loans and grants on behalf of their clients as a result of this impact-driven process. We then looked for corporate partnerships. These included companies like Lowe's, who work with home improvements, and Home Depot, and other large organizations that might really speak to the message of Great Dwellings and improving the lives of people in their own community. And the last thing that we really wanted to focus on was homeowner education. So if we're giving these low income or elderly clients an increase in revenue, we want to make sure that they're financially responsible with that money, that they understand what it means to be a homeowner, to be a landlord, to be financially literate. So we looked into Udemy, edX, and different websites that we could partner with to provide courses that the homeowner would need to complete to ensure that they are making responsible decisions and are aware of the magnitude of what they're really going through. So now I'm going to pass it off to Aislinn to talk about our main recommendations and to close us out.
Hi everyone, I'm Aislinn. I'm just going to talk about our sort of recommendations and next steps that we provided the client and just close really quickly. So the first thing that we recommended the client to do is develop like a really strong print and digital marketing campaign, because although their venture is quite positive and very out there, it's not very well known by a lot of people. So what we had to do for the venture to be put out there and be perpetuated is target seniors who are our primary clients through religious institutions and libraries, while also targeting their children or potential children of those neighborhoods using social media, established brands, and search engine optimization. The second thing, we chose the Tacoma market to launch with. We performed a lot of research into the market, and we did a lot of data analysis and used a variety of models to conclude that the Tacoma region has the ideal client segment based on everything that we had described previously, with like a lot of people who are in danger of losing their homes and would possibly need this venture to sustain themselves in their communities. And the third thing we did is we recommended to them is to hire a consultant to help with regulatory issues. This would allow the company, Great Dwellings, to maximize their impact by learning how to partner with large institutions such as banks to possibly help finance loans for renovations for these clients to receive impact-related grants and loans. Yeah, thank you, everyone. And I hope you liked our presentation.
Sorry about that, Aislinn. Thanks, Alex and Aislinn, and hope everyone is doing well with these power outages that are occurring across the country. I know Julie on our team had to go a few towns over to get Wi-Fi, so Alex, thanks so much for making the opportunity to present tonight. Next up, we have our Junior Achievement team.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ishan. I'm part of the Junior Achievement team. I have my teammates Rachel and Aban here with me. So I'm just going to give you a brief overview of our team and our client and then pass it off to them. So our team consisted of our project manager, our MBA student, Rui Shu, our 2 master's students, Frida Dai and Kevin Andino, and the 3 undergraduates, myself, Rachel, and Aban. So our client was, as Nima mentioned, Junior Achievement. So we were consulting with the Greater Washington branch in order to help them with their engagement problems. So a little bit about Junior Achievement is that they're a global nonprofit youth organization founded over 100 years ago. And they mainly put out programs that aid students in experiential learning programs in the areas of professional development, financial literacy, and entrepreneurship. So now I'm just going to hand it off to Rachel. She'll tell you a little bit more about what we did.
So while Junior Achievement has great success in Northern Virginia, they were not having the same level of success in DC and many Maryland counties. So our main issue to focus on was the low engagement and interest, and also knowledge of Junior Achievement, their company program. So we had essentially 3 recommendations. So our first recommendation was to focus on regional customization. It was not necessary for them to use the same marketing strategy in Northern Virginia as they would in DC. So we wanted to regionally focus on these marketing strategies. For instance, many people in certain counties in Maryland have parents who might speak different languages. So we wanted to create flyers that might be in different languages, since many of Junior Achievement marketing strategies has to do with flyers or paper handouts in school. Our second recommendation was to overall modernize the marketing strategy. After doing several interviews with students, parents, alumni, and also Junior Achievement employees, we recognized that their social media use was very, very low and also ineffective, as well as their website was a bit complicated and difficult to view for students who are on their own looking to get involved in extracurriculars. So by modernizing our marketing strategy, by creating potentially a Facebook page for parents to become more involved or to increase our use of social media, we're able to increase the presence as well as engage more students. And along with that, we would like to introduce the J Ambassador program, which would help certain students who are very passionate with Junior Achievement to engage their own peers. And that way it would be more effective if you hear it from a peer versus perhaps a counselor or teacher. Lastly, we're looking to diversify the program as well. So recently, Junior Achievement of Greater Washington introduced a Rising Women program that targeted specific groups, which were women focused on entrepreneurship. And this was actually extremely successful. And so we believe that by finding niche markets such as women focused on entrepreneurship, that we could become more successful. And we would, like I mentioned before, utilize the J Ambassador program to market our new programs to these niche markets.
Yeah, so just to kind of wrap up everything that Rachel talked about and kind of bring it back full circle to why we did this and why we really loved working with JA, we found these to be the 2 most valuable goals that we set in the beginning of our project. So we wanted to increase engagement in MoCo, PG County, and DC, thereby promoting the resources for quality education in these areas. Because Junior Achievement, like Ishan introduced, is an organization that provides a lot of very important financial literacy skills, business preparation skills. There's no reason why people in DC, PG County, and MoCo should not have the same access to these programs as the people in Northern Virginia, because those low membership numbers are not necessarily their fault. There's many factors playing in, from socioeconomic standing, transportation, a lot of reasons why they may not have access. So that was a very important goal that we kept in mind the whole time. And then goal 17, what we have, the second goal here, is we just wanted to make sure that we used all available resources. So we were making really good use of our mentor who was provided to our team. We were constantly in touch with the CSVC office. We were making sure that we used all of our skills. So Rachel and I, for example, focused a lot on the marketing. Our graduate students were looking a lot at surveying and interviewing skills. So we really went into our niche and went into what we were good at in order to bring the whole project together.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Avan, Rachel, and Ishan. Next up is Team Airgility.
Hey guys, my name's Mike, and I am part of the Airgility team. We could go to the next slide, Nima, real quick. That was just an intro slide. So this is our team. Just to go over it real quick, Avinash was our consultant advisor, followed by me as the project manager, along with 3 undergrads and 2 master students as well. Going into that, our client was Airgility. So they are a drone and AI company. They're a new startup company that's developed drones or is developing drones for military, civilian, consumer purposes, different things like that. And so they've only been around for about 3 years. And our premier focus was to do a product launch for their DS1 drone. So what we kind of did was we jumped into market research, and then we jumped into a go-to-market strategy. So those were the 2 primary focuses. If we could go to the next slide there. Some of the recommendations and kind of what we really did in depth was, for market research, we would do things such as a consumer persona, competitor analysis, pricing analysis, you name it. And then for our go-to-market strategy, we really did a product analysis, sales strategy, promotion strategy, a couple of different strategies. And then these were ultimately some of our recommendations, at least for the next 6 months to a year, for them to launch this product. So we focused on government and some public safety, implement a nice pricing strategy for them, some product improvements that'll help them sell to other industries that they could look into, and then develop a marketing strategy as well. So that was a little bit kind of an overview with us, but yeah, it was a very successful project for us.
Thanks so much, Michael and team. Great hearing from you guys. If you've been noticing a trend, all of the projects we did this year were either Maryland-based companies or TERP alumni, so we'd love to help giving back to our community. Next up, Humble Ventures.
Hello, my name is Marian Fang, and I'm part of the Humble Ventures team, and I'm going to present along with my undergrad member, Caroline Chu. And on our team was our project manager, Karthik Venkatraman, and our another undergrad was Akash Talwar, and then we also have a master student, Tao Chen. And we also had a lot of help from our consultant advisor, Sinclair Dominguez. So a little bit about our client. So Humble Ventures is a growing venture development firm located in Washington, D.C. area, but they also expanded in New York City. They provide consulting and programming to deliver business insights and networking opportunities to both startups and large organizations. And most of their startups are women, minority, and or veteran owned.
Great, thanks for that intro, Annie. So Humble is actually pretty intently focused on the future and change of business, technology, and overarching society. Therefore, our team chose to center our efforts on digital transformation and both the short and long-term effects of COVID-19. Minor projects our team completed in this space include a spreadsheet of Fortune 500 professionals interested in digital transformation, research in the real estate, tech, and healthcare industries, and a summary document on Wish.com, a potential Humble client, and its customers and suppliers. However, our main undertaking was researching cloud kitchen markets, both domestically and internationally. For those unfamiliar, cloud kitchens are food preparation or cooking facilities shared by multiple restaurants and designed for the sole purpose of delivery. No front of house exists. Such kitchens operate with the rise of delivery apps and serve an even greater purpose in a world of COVID-19. We conducted our analysis with the end goal in mind of helping Farm One, a hydroponic crop grower and one of Humble's clients, determine which markets would be best to expand into. We were successful with meeting said goal, but also expanded this analysis into identifying other companies and industries that will continue to experience growth. Therefore, we identify new areas in which Humble should consider investing rather than solely sticking to helping Farm One meet its expansion goals.
So we were given the objective to find strategies for these clients. So one of our clients, as said before, was Farm.1, which is a Manhattan-based hydroponic farm. And we had to find out what strategy is best for them. So in our analysis, when comparing cloud kitchens from domestic and foreign markets, we found that a partnership with Kitchen United, which is a American-based cloud kitchen, we emphasized that as importance with domestic growth and in specific locations like New York City, LA, and Chicago will be the best decision. And we decided these locations through risk analysis and comparing them with markets in India, China, and the UK. And we decided this was one of the best choices, was partnering with Kitchen United.
Yeah, and through our research, we actually discovered a company that invests in both cloud kitchens and healthcare, Reef Technology. The company hopes to reimagine parking lots into community hubs, one-stop shops where consumers can conveniently meet multiple needs at once. We recommended Reef as a potential partner due to this healthcare concentration. Overrun hospitals and healthcare systems run rampant in the US, but telehealth offerings and vaccine distribution, both aspects of Reef's parking lot medical services, provide a solution to this problem.
And finally, the general expansion, which all relates back to like the cloud kitchen industry, in which while researching cloud kitchen and hydroponic industry, we saw a lot of market gaps that can be solved by these emerging industries. So industries like cloud computing, which would be useful for maintaining customer relationships and optimizing building information modeling, which is very important for when building these hydroponic farms, and then quality control for like the food delivery side for cloud kitchens. And overall, after we complete our deliverables, we're able to give extra new industries that Humble Ventures, future groups, and their clients can research in. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Marianne and Carolyn. We loved hearing that presentation. Up next, we have our team from Waterford.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kelly Phillips. I'm the project manager for Team Waterford. I'm going to be presenting tonight with my fellow teammates, Alexia and Heather. So we worked with Waterford Incorporated. They are a human resources consulting firm based in Virginia. They primarily work with leaders and high-performing professionals within green economy organizations.
And so the scope of our project was our client wanted to expand their talent management services in their human resource department and kind of customize these services to green organizations, since she primarily works in the green economy, green industry. So we are tasked with the role of trying to find ways and methods that would like help these organizations reach their greater, larger, and like sustainability goals. So our first task was like, one, identifying the perceived identities of those who are in those industries, because I think a lot of people didn't realize that their roles apply to green industry roles. And then we looked into the different sectors that our client gave us for green talent management, or the green economy map that she provided, and looked at those current and emerging themes of where that industry was headed and if there were any specific talent management strategies for those. And then lastly, we just were providing strategic recommendations for her and best ways to provide that out. So with our research, you can go to the next slide. The first thing we did was like defining the scope of our project, and then we next looked at serving her customers, the Waterford customers, and then next we had another team look at interviews with green industry professionals to see how they perceive their identities, and like gathered a lot of great information on that. And then our third activity was doing a talent management markets analysis, looking into the human resource sector, breaking down into who identifies as like human resource management, those trends, and then following later into what's happening in the green industry, and then looking at our strategic recommendations.
And so to be able to gather the relevant information we needed to develop our recommendations, we conducted our research in 3 main ways. The first being a market analysis, which allowed us to identify the major themes within the green industry and get a better understanding of Waterford's competitors. Additionally, we conducted informant interviews, which went into depth with professionals working in the green industry. And as a result of this, we were able to better understand the different identities within the green industry and pull out some main talent management trends within green workplaces. And lastly, we sent out a customer survey to Waterford's previous clients, which helped us better understand the unique value proposition of Waterford services.
You can go to the next slide. So we had a lot of recommendations, and I'll sum them up here. But through the surveys and the interviews we did with professionals working in green organizations, what we really discovered is that the language Waterford was using to market itself wasn't resonating with its target customer. So our first recommendation is that they shift the language in their marketing to talk more about the services they offer and a little bit less heavy on green economy jargon. We also recommended that Waterford use its 25 years of experience working with leaders and HR professionals within the green economy, that they leverage those relationships to pitch additional talent management services within those organizations. We also, this is a starting off point for Waterford. They haven't actually launched a talent management service sector from within their organization yet. They're still primarily doing coaching. So we recommend before they launch this service to actual clients and customers that they create a talent management strategy, a playbook, a toolkit that really summarizes for their clients what it is they can offer and maybe how they can offer it in a way that's compatible with our new COVID-19 reality. And then our final recommendation is Waterford is a very academic organization. They ask a lot of really great questions about what's going on within their industry and how can the work they're doing really truly be a positive value add to the environment. And so we recommend that they take that energy and they create a community of practice of fellow talent management and green economy professionals to really start solving those problems and generate some best practices to share. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Kelly, Heather, and Alexia. One thing that I love to see about the diversity of the projects we have is we have nonprofits, B corporations, and for-profits. And usually when you hear you're working on an impact-driven project for a HR management consultancy, you might do a double take, but there are so many amazing mission-driven corporations out there. And just remembering that the Impact Consulting Fellowship is a great opportunity for everyone. So next we have our Copiri team.
Thanks, Nima. Hey everyone, my name is Kevin and I worked as the team lead for the Copiri project. I'm here with my colleague Jennifer to talk through our work this summer. Before we get going, I realized we're the only group that didn't put our team names on our presentation, so I'd also like to shout out Jalvi, Mahesh, Shafali, and Akhil. So Copiri is a communications platform for members of passion-based communities. They have features like event calendars, payment processing, attendance rosters, location finder, and digital membership cards. Their vision is to provide a seamless organization tool for members so they can worry less about logistics and focus on doing good. Next, Jennifer will take you through our project scope.
All right, so starting with the problem, our team had to find the next logical opportunity for our client, Copiri. When ICF first started, Copiri already had an audience of Freemasons that were all over the world. The graphic on the slide shows all of the locations of users searching within the Copiri app. With an established infrastructure in place, Copiri is also looking to expand their audience to all types of passion-based communities. So after our client meetings and limiting our scope, we found out the main question to answer was, who should Copiri target next and how would they do it? There were many passion-based communities our team had to brainstorm and consider. This included Greek organizations, alumni from the university, and firefighters. But in the end, we also had to consider which of these Copiri should target first. So I'll just go ahead and send it back to Kevin, who will present our final solution.
So in our work, we confirmed their decision to target the firefighter community and also worked to provide an outside perspective on important points to include in a marketing pitch to organizational leadership. We started off by looking at the demographic breakdown of the firefighting community, looking at variables like age and gender, but also salary and the composition of firefighting units. We studied various firefighting Facebook groups to figure out why certain communities had more membership and engagement and why other online groups failed. Our master's students took the lead on analyzing data from Copiri's current private label app to create visualizations of trends that they can use in future pitches. And finally, we did an industry analysis of other communication platforms for price and functionality to recommend a competitive price point. Overall, we built a great working relationship with Copiri's leadership team, and we're excited to see our work included in their upcoming pitch. We just want to thank Nima, Julie, Nicole, and all the other Smith faculty and staff for guiding us through this learning opportunity this summer.
Thanks so much, Kevin and Jennifer. We love to hear that presentation. I also love just hearing how the different roles between your undergraduates, your MBAs and masters, and one great thing of this project was having all of those different age levels and constituencies and being able to have that diverse perspective. Next up, we have the Grassroots-fund.
Hey everyone, hope you guys are doing well. My name is John Hennies. I was the project manager for the Grassroots-fund project. Part of my team, as you can see, we had Naman, Yijang, Sneha, Andrew, and last but not least, Matthew. Nima, if you want to go on to the next slide for me. Awesome. So Grassroots-fund, really cool organization. They're actually a startup, haven't gone live yet. Their platform is set to go live in November. And their idea is around, grassroots fundraising, as the name suggests, right? So the idea is, hey, nonprofits especially, they really want to focus on how do we further the mission of our organization? And, fundraising is kind of a necessary evil, right? So how can we simplify that process? How can we make it more efficient? How can we enable you as an organization to spend less time doing the things you don't want to do, i.e. fundraising, and spend more of that time, actually accomplishing the mission of your organization, no matter what that mission kind of is. And so the three things that the founder of Grassroots-fund asked us to work on was to kind of figure out, what features need to be in the platform. She had come up with this long laundry list, but it wasn't realistic to have all of those by the November launch date. And so she kind of tasked us with figuring out, okay, for my minimum viable product, for my MVP in November, what, features do I actually need to get started? The other thing, she wanted to try and figure out how to monetize the platform. There were a couple different models that she was thinking of, and she wanted to figure out which one was the best. And then the third one was around the marketing and client acquisition strategy. Next slide, please. Thank you. So we had two kind of main parts of our research. The first was a series of interviews. So we used some of the connections we had through the project team to connect with multiple different nonprofit organizations. I listed a couple of them there: College Mentors for Kids, Polka Dot Mama, et cetera. And then we interviewed Roxana herself to kind of understand, hey, we had a script that we kind of went through and said, hey, this is what Grassroots-fund is trying to do. What about this is interesting to you? What about this would be really helpful? What about this maybe isn't as interesting, isn't as important for a day one product type thing? The other piece for the second and third deliverable, we did some competitive research on other organizations that are kind of attacking this market, how they monetize their platform, what features they had, et cetera. What kind of clientele do they go after to kind of help shape the marketing strategy and the client acquisition strategy? You can go to the next one there, Nima, for me, thanks. So we had 3 pillars of recommendations, right? Platform features, monetization strategy, go-to-market strategy. Some of the platform features, we heard from almost every single organization that we interviewed that LinkedIn was the preferred social media platform. So they wanted to figure out, okay, how can we leverage LinkedIn more in a more automated fashion? Whether that's using, if I use NEMA, for example, hey, NEMA donated, let me find other people in NEMA's professional network that would also potentially be interested in donating as well, right? That intelligence is super valuable to a nonprofit organization. So that was something they were really interested in. Some of the other ones that were really interesting were around reporting. So, a lot of people said, hey, we do this fundraising piece, and then when we have to go report to our board, I got to spend hours putting together, this report to take to the C-level board, and it's just a pain in the butt. So if you guys have all this data, this information, could you potentially streamline and automate? Like I can click a button and it'll generate a report based on criteria that I choose. So that was something that we recommended as well. From the monetization strategy, there were a bunch of different options. One that really stuck out to Grassroots-fund was potentially having like a freemium tier, right? So you have a feature limited version that's free to use to try and get people to use the platform and see value in it before kind of plunging all in. I'm sure you guys can imagine, right, with nonprofits, they have kind of limited funding available. So getting them on board and giving them an option to use the platform without having to pay is a good way to kind of generate interest. And then the third piece around go-to-market strategy, we kind of developed different buyer and user personas, and we did a whole bunch of stuff there, which unfortunately we don't have enough time to get into today. And then the last slide, if you want to go to NEMA, I just put down 3 of the lessons learned that we thought were really interesting. 100% of the organizations that we interviewed were extremely interested in the platform. So I think that kind of validates the founder's use case, and there's definitely a market that needs to be addressed there. The second one was simplicity is king. Again, every organization we talked to said that they would sacrifice features for simplicity and ease of use, right? Even if the platform that they were using wasn't able to do everything they wanted to do, if it was easy and there wasn't a lot of training or getting up to speed involved. Yeah, exactly, Nicole, right? So the whole kind of key was, to the Grassroots-fund team, yeah, we can give you a list of features, but at the end of the day, we got to figure out a way to transition people off of their current CRM onto Grassroots-fund, that lower that barrier to entry. If we can't do that, this might be a non-starter for some people. So I think that's a good summary of the project there. Thanks, Nima.
Thanks so much, John. Next up, we have the M-Level team.
Hi, everyone. For our consulting project, we partnered with an amazing organization called M-Level. M-Level is an industry-leading learning development platform that empowers their clients and learners to achieve job mastery. Next slide. As a part of this process, we conducted interviews with 15 subject matter experts, 12 lawyers, and 20 similar CLE, continuing legal education organizations. As a part of our process, I wanted to quickly introduce our team who did a fantastic job conducting this content research, implementing a content outline within the software platform, and also creating a go-to-market strategy for the short and long term. And so we have Prashant Krishnan, who is our engagement manager, Haley Mavora, who is our strategy manager, Lexi Paidesk, our task manager, Hassan Tariq, our research manager, myself, Scott Slifkin, as a project manager, and then Lisa Liang as our research manager. Next slide. M-Level provided us also with an interesting opportunity to decide an industry that we wanted to operate within. Due to recent current events, we focused on the legal industry as a way to fight for social impact causes and to create true systemic change. We worked with M-Level to create an ethics continuing legal education course that had a special focus on individual disabilities in the workplace. Next slide. And now I'd like to introduce Lexi, who is going to talk about our learning objectives.
Thanks, Scott. So through our process, we basically came out at the very end of it with 2 final recommendations. The first being a series of recommendations for a content outline for the continuing legal education platform. So to do that, we came up first with 4 different learning objectives. The first was to establish a foundation for what constitutes an invisible disability. The second, analyze the impact of preconceived notions and terminology on workplace interactions. Third, to master the historical context of disability rights legislation. And fourth, to understand the long-term benefits of a proactive approach to accommodations. And after creating these 4 learning objectives, we created 4 individual learning modules that went along with each one, as well as a sample using one of the M-level software platforms called Pathfinder to create a scenario-based learning module to help potential users walk through go through some situations they may face in the workplace to teach them about invisible disabilities and to help them fulfill their CLE requirement. Next slide, please. The second part of our final recommendations came, as Scott mentioned, as a go-to-market plan. So there were several different avenues that M-Level can choose to take this content outline and bring it to life. So we decided that the easiest and best course of action for them was to partner with accredited sponsors to make this CLE course happen. Why did we decide to recommend this? Well, because it allows them to bypass individual state bar applications and fees, which makes the process of creating a CLE course so much smoother and so much easier. The content recommendation that we provided for them kind of works as a universal design. So if M-Level decides to expand outside of Georgia, which is where they're based, they can do that pretty easily. And their platform also allows for expansion into different areas of CLE requirements. So our program that we worked on this summer was ethics-based, but there are many others that lawyers are required to take. So they have some, ways for expansion if they decide to go down that route. And then finally, we thought they should partner with these sponsors so that they could leverage the resources that they have, whether it's, just law resources, websites with information, or SMEs at the law firm, to help them with their expansion and to enhance the content outline that we provided for them. And I believe that's it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Scott and Lexi. Our next presentation will be from the WealthyLife team.
Yeah, hi guys, we're the WealthyLife team, and our team member are Epi, Kushbu, Sammy, Anchor, and I. Yeah, so we're so happy to join this program, and we learn a lot from it. Now I want to invite our excellent talker, Abby, in our team to introduce a little bit about our work and the company.
Awesome. Thanks, Wenjing. So this summer we had the pleasure to work with the Wealth Factory alongside Miss Angel Rich, who is based in DC, and her partners Yusef Henriquez and Jacob Crane. So our projects were diverse in scope and focused on expanding Miss Rich's brand, focusing on financial education, uplifting DC-based students, and in general, just expanding the brand into brand new sectors. So our project was a little different. We took on the challenge to assist Ms. Rich on several projects related to these efforts with 6 additional individuals, and I'll go into these different projects in more detail. So going through the process, it involved us meeting directly with Ms. Rich on a weekly basis, along with breaking out into separate project-based meetings, just to make sure that all of our bases were covered. So not only did we as a collective create and design websites utilizing platforms such as Wix and social media strategies to be presented to Ms. Rich, related to one of the brands, Angel Skin, WealthyLife, and the Black Tech Matters movement, spearheaded by our own Miss Sammy. Each of these initiatives are in the process of being finalized and launched. We also developed a model to measure mortality, COVID status, days of hospitalization with a COVID-based app, which is created to combat the COVID pandemic, which is also being presented to one of the leading health organizations in the country, which is also pending approval, and this was led by Anchor. In addition to these initiatives, our team worked on digital ad optimization projects, one of them called Bridge CPI, which was led by our project lead, Wenjing, that focuses on creating a more efficient process for companies related to SEO and digital advertisements. Along the lines of creating a framework to develop tech-based apps, Kushbu worked on Credit Fixer, a loan and interest-based app, where she was able to manage the development and integration of this app into the Wealth Factory brand. Along with the aforementioned projects, we were able to lead a government contract, which was focused on summer interns. And I was the lead for that project and worked alongside Kushbu and Wenjing, the master's level students. And we partnered with the Marion Barry Summer Youth Program on this project. We created a process and system for managing over 400 interns between the ages of 16 and 24. This included the creation and distribution of content and materials to present to the students, the creation of a payroll system, so HR-based, and structures that would ensure that the program could continue into next summer. And recently we learned that the Department of Employment Services in DC was satisfied with like how everything went with the program, and they decided to extend the program an additional 2 weeks, which is extremely exciting. So ultimately, as a team, we were able to work on over 6 projects to help expand the Wealth Factory brand and ensure that everyone from students and individuals who were interested in learning about financial literacy to companies interested in data optimization-based apps would be able to benefit from our recommendations, proposals, and implementations. Thank you very much. And then, yeah, it just kind of goes through our responsibilities.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Abby, and thank you, WealthyLife team. Our next team is the Words, Beats, and Life team. Come on down.
Thank you, Nima. Hi, everyone. My name is Emma Sanduja, and Alex Binder and I are going to talk to you about how our team developed social media strategies for Words, Beats, and Life. Words, Beats, and Life is a DC-based nonprofit organization which advocates for the transformative power of hip-hop culture through various educational events, conferences, and publications. They have outlined a need to grow their social media engagement with the goal of engaging more users to visit their website and sign up for their events. So as a team, we help them define and outline the appropriate cadence towards their unique target audiences across their social media channels, create guidelines to unify their branding across social media channels, and strategize the use of hashtags and trends so that they can reach new audiences and more easily connect followers to their programs. Through the course of the project, we wanted to focus on developing a document that would provide in-depth and targeted solutions customized for Words, Beats, and Life. We wanted this document to have long-term usability, granular information on targeting different segments on social media, and be user-friendly and suitable for onboarding a new employee. We recognized that we had a short timeline to work on this project and also wanted to keep our recommendations within Words, Beats, and Life's working budget. And we also recognized that due to the remote working conditions, we were limited in our collaboration efforts, although we managed beautifully with the virtual and cloud-based resources available to us. At this point, I'll pass it over to Alex Binder to talk to you about our final recommendations.
Thank you, Emma. Our final deliverable was a social media strategy guide for Words, Beats, and Life, which consists of 6 main recommendations, as you can see on the screen right now, and each of them included actionable steps like checklists or visual examples for the organization. The first three recommendations were basically about targeting an audience efficiently online, as we saw that each of the individual target groups of Words, Beats, and Life have different characteristics, both in terms of the platforms they use online, as well as the content they're looking for on social media. We also provided Words, Beats, and Life with some recommendations how to standardize branding, and we did that through a checklist, which should help them to make their brand more recognizable online, which also leads me to our last recommendation, to use hashtags effectively, which included some steps how to use hashtags to build a brand online and lead to more engagement online. And our last recommendation was to strategize calls to action and utilize partnerships, where we really looked at the existing resources of the organization and how they can use that to increase the engagement online. And all in all, we think that those 6 recommendations will help Words, Beats, and Life to be even more successful in the future. Thanks for your attention.
Thanks so much, Alex and Emma. We're about halfway through our presentations for the night, so we're going to take a little 5-minute break. Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone. Hope it was a fun little 5-minute breather, and we are back at it. Our next team is the Best for DMV team.
Thank you, Nima. So my name is Saqib Ahmed, and I'm the project manager for the Best for DMV project. If we can go to the next slide. So just an introduction to my team. We have a few masters and undergrad students on our team. We have Chuyu Zhang, who is master's in marketing analytics in her second year. Nirja Singh, who's also a master's student in marketing analytics in her second year. Kathleen Robertson, who's a senior. Chris, Julia, we're both seniors. And then we also have our MBA alumni advisor, Zhao Lin, who works at Booz Allen Hamilton. So just to give a brief overview of our project, basically our client is the Best for DMV program, which is a program that's run by a few different nonprofit organizations in the DMV area, including Bethesda Green, Councilfire, and Think Local First. And the Best for DMV program basically is a campaign style program that is trying to increase the number of businesses in the DMV area that incorporate social and environmental impact. And so the problem that we're addressing with our project is that currently there's a lack of awareness about Best for DMV, and also in general there's a lack of awareness about B Corp certification and kind of some of the things that businesses can do for incorporating social and environmental impact. And also our client would like to have more marketing, capacity and more marketing engagement as well. So really the objective of the project is to encourage higher levels of involvement through commitment to take action, participating in workshops and other Best for DMV events, using the UN SDG Action Manager tool from Best for DMV and the B Lab assessment, and helping companies eventually attain B Corp certification. So just a overview of our scope document and our methodology and kind of the process that we are kind of undertaking. So our team is doing both primary and secondary research, and we are currently in the phase of conducting additional surveys and interviews, with various different businesses to understand really what motivates companies to incorporate social environmental impact, not just in the area, but more broadly, across the country. And that's really the focus of our primary research are the surveys and the interviews. And our project is a little different from the other projects in the sense that our final presentation will occur towards the end of August. So that's kind of an overview of the scope document. So just to touch on some of the current findings that we have come across, through delivering our surveys and and conducting our phone interviews, we find that across the board, the motivational factors for why businesses want to incorporate social environmental impact and why they're motivated to prioritize social and environmental issues are the following. So third-party validation was a very common theme. A lot of businesses that we've spoken to have mentioned that they do benefit from getting feedback from a third party and getting that validation for their social and environmental impact. Second is the ability to attract and retain talent. So, being a green business and, socially conscious business helps to also attract, not only younger talent, but also it helps with retaining talent as well. And then third, the companies we've talked to have mentioned that, pursuing B Corp certification and the B Lab assessment really can give a competitive advantage in the industry compared to other businesses that may not have this approval from a third party or really have that, that certification. And finally, it's a way for companies to communicate their values to customers, really communicate their social and environmental awareness to the community. And so just to touch a bit about the survey results that we have found so far, alarmingly, 100% of the respondents that we've seen have said that they are not aware of a Best For program in their area. 66.7% are not aware of the organization called B Lab Assessment, which is a nonprofit that conducts the assessment for social environmental impact. And 87% believe that employee welfare and benefits are the most important to their organization. And finally, 93% of the firms that we have surveyed, or rather of the respondents, for our survey, have said that they believe that environmental and social impact does align with their values. So some initial recommendations that we have come up with, again, we are kind of researching more on our recommendations and continuing to work on exploring these recommendations for our final deliverables, which will be closer to the end of August. But based on the findings that we've had so far and the observations that we've made in our own research, the first is kind of leveraging social media to increase visibility. Social media, as we've heard from many of the other groups, is a great way to kind of communicate the message and market the organization's mission and objectives. So really using those tools like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and communicating the benefit of getting the third-party feedback, the industry competitive advantage, and attracting the top talent through incorporating social and environmental impact. The second recommendation is incorporating networking events and webinars. So throughout all of our conversations we've had, on our phone interviews, the theme across the board was that more companies would like to see more networking events with like-minded organizations in their communities. And this kind of enables resource sharing as well. So some ideas that we're considering are monthly virtual lunch and learn sessions, executive leadership conferences, and speaker series as well. Third recommendation is the university, like leveraging university partnerships. So these are opportunities to kind of use the talent from students to kind of support with improvement plans identified by businesses that are taking the workshops from Bethesda Green and other businesses that want to be involved with social and environmental impact as well. And finally, the fourth recommendation that we've determined is bringing in experts from like the public policy arena, and also establishing peer-to-peer mentoring within the program as well. So, bringing in environmental policy experts and enabling, B Corp, current B Corp certified leaders to kind of mentor other organizations who are interested in B Corp certification and social environmental impact would really enable, again, the theme of community building and resource sharing, and would enable organizations to really learn from experts and those who have experience with social and environmental impact. So that really summarizes our presentation. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Saqib, and the Best for DMV team for being our Cal Ripken Ironman team and going that extra month. For anyone who is interested in learning more about B corporations, Bethesda Green is actually hosting a student-facing Best for DMV and B Corp focused event. It's a Zoom or webinar tomorrow from 3 to 4 p.m. If you're interested in learning more about the webinar, shoot me an email really quick and I'll make sure to get you the link. It was also in our newsletter that came out this past Monday. If you're unable to attend from 3 to 4 tomorrow, still register because you'll get a video recording emailed to you after the event occurs. That's 3 to 4 p.m. tomorrow, and either look at the CSVC newsletter or shoot me an email tonight. All right, next we have our Councilfire team.
Okay, so our project was, our client was Councilfire, which was a consulting company that specializes in sustainable seafood. My team consisted of our team leader, Adam, and me, Matt, Kami, Owen, and Ishwar. So you can go to the next one. So our objectives was to identify and research innovative programs and major U.S. public and private sector efforts to promote increased consumption of sustainable seafood and to address the crippling challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic on the seafood industry. The second objective was to identify and research best practices emerging from these efforts. The third was to perform a SWOT analysis on direct-to-consumer domestic sustainable seafood markets. And the fourth was to develop a marketing campaign strategy with evaluative framework and metrics to track and measure the success of the campaign. So what we learned from this project was we were able to gain a clear understanding of successful present-day work promoting sustainable seafood consumption. We were able to better understand obstacles surrounding the direct-to-consumer sustainable seafood market in light of this global pandemic. Another is that we were able to utilize research to raise awareness and create pathways to a more sustainable future. And lastly, we were able to help clients practice sustainable seafood while increasing or maintaining profits.
So our work included doing something called a landscape analysis, where our research was enable us to put up a detailed summary, which we incorporated actually into a very detailed paper of what these challenges were, where there were some opportunities for Councilfire to guide small fisheries to become more sustainable and also be able to sell directly to clients. So in terms of how we structured our work, Councilfire would hold a meeting with us each and every week, and we would update them on major deliverables and our research efforts. So I operated as the project manager, so I made sure our objectives were met within timing and scope, and we worked with the group together in order to set up a time frame which everybody agreed upon, and managed day-to-day activities and conducted the meetings that we held on a weekly basis. So our project team, we held our weekly meetings where we shared research and some of our findings in order to develop a set of what we found to be some of the key problems. So in terms of how we communicated, we used GroupMe as our main source of communication, and we stored our documents that we would share together, such as research and ultimately the draft for our landscape analysis on Google Drive. And what we also did in terms of doing the research, we had to examine the entire United States. So we broke the project up into different geographic areas and also broke it up into the different sectors that we were studying, such as commercial fishing associations, the private players who are processors, or the smaller fisheries. So our research was very oriented towards looking at some of the regulators within the industry just to find out about the laws and what some of the major issues were, but also at a ground level, talking to the people who are directly involved in these associations. So we conducted a series of interviews, and based upon that, we were able to determine what some gaps and what some problems were. And based upon that, we're able to issue a series of recommendations guided by this research and the interviews that we conducted.
Thanks, Adam. We were able to come up with a series of 5 primary recommendations. And the first one is the need for consulting services in this industry is greater than we previously thought. As consultants, sometimes our job is to kind of scope out projects and help our clients figure out where they really want to investigate and who, in this case, who their potential clients are and who their potential strategic partners are in the industry. So initially, they only wanted to target private sector players with a certain amount of revenue. And we ended up finding there are many ways where you could work with commercial fishing associations and other organizations within the industry as potential partners to really advocate for sustainable seafood on a national and regional level. The second is community-supported fisheries. In my mind, community-supported fisheries in terms of providing social value to your local community is really the gold standard. Community-supported fisheries connect local fishermen with their local communities to sell seafood on a direct-to-consumer basis. This has a number of advantages. It shortens the supply chain significantly, as most of these players are vertically integrated and have their own processing facilities. They're easily financed by either local stakeholders or an owner-operator model called a collective. They're more profitable and more reliable for fishermen because of the shortened supply chain. And because they're going direct to consumer, they can afford to pay the fishermen closer to retail prices for their fish because of the short supply chain. And there's a really compelling story about the fishermen, the seafood, the area, and all of these things that really make it a durable and reliable business model in light of COVID-19. We also found targeting trade associations was a really great strategy for business development, as they're centers of influence and are basically a center of influence in a local region, a local community, or even on a national level. We also found that a key for the seafood industry in the future is developing direct-to-consumer sales. A growing space in the seafood world is online seafood retail. Seafood is significantly less widely consumed than other meats in the United States, but seafood retail online is almost as popular as other meats. So there's a really good opportunity there to grow that presence online and expand and grow the consumption of US sustainable seafood. And then lastly, we found there was a significant knowledge gap in terms of consumers knowing how to prepare, flavor, buy, and cook sustainable seafood. We found that under 30% of consumers are confident in their ability to find sustainable seafood, cook sustainable seafood, and know what is certified sustainable seafood. So marketing in this space should really be directed at addressing this knowledge gap, and especially during COVID-19, in an industry where 70% of seafood is consumed at restaurants, it's really about teaching consumers how to enjoy seafood at home. So thank you to Adam and the rest of our team. It's been a really great experience.
Thank you so much, Joanna, Adam, and Owen. Next, we have our ReVelo team.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Monique Ellis, and I was a part of the ReVelo iAccessible product team.
Monique, sorry to interrupt. Do you mind speaking up? You're coming in a little quiet.
Sure. My name is Monique Ellis. I was the project manager for the ReVelo iAccessible product team. Included in our team were 2 master students, Monsi and Tiansen, as well as 3 undergraduate students, Summer, Niall, and Julie, along with our consulting advisors, Ariana and Andrea. So our company that our client ReVelo has a product that's a real-time software platform that enables customized and automated data collection, as well as analysis and data reporting. iAccessible essentially is a ReVelo product that provides decision makers with user-friendly insights into their respective organizations' digital accessibility trends over time within the individual organization's hierarchical structure. So most people don't necessarily know what digital accessibility means. It's essentially the ability of websites, mobile applications, as well as electronic documents to be easily navigated and understood by a wide range of users, including those who have visual and auditory, motor, as well as cognitive disabilities. ReVelo is actually located in College Park, Maryland at the University of Maryland's Discovery District. So one of the big challenges with the iAccessible product was during the COVID-19 pandemic, it's further highlighted the need for digital accessibility within education, especially student learning, government agencies, and commercial businesses and beyond. Next. So essentially the scope of our project was creating a targeted marketing campaign to include refining buyer personas, landing pages, as well as emails. So essentially we sourced and interviews with various potential buyers and created these personas in conjunction with their pre-existing persona profiles to target within these target groups in their untapped commercial and federal markets. We also refined landing pages for nonprofit, automotive, and the legal industry, which is part of their primary subscriber list that they want to target outside of government and educational industries and universities. We also reconstructed emails for specific contact us segments to include sales and pricing, partner interest, general inquiry, as well as technical support for their current subscriber list. In addition, we also provided them with a overall LinkedIn Sales Navigator strategy, as well as things that they can do within the next 6 months or remainder of the year to try to improve their overall marketing strategy for this specific product, as well as some budget and strategies that they use for their marketing moving forward. And next up, we'll have Niall present our recommendations that we provided to the ReVelo iAccessible product team.
All right, hi everybody. I hope you can hear me. My voice is kind of soft. Hi, my name is Niall. So on our team, we actually like split up some of the different aspects of the project. So I led the personas team, Monsi led the landing pages team, and Tianxin led the email team, and the supplementary was a mixture of like Julie, Summer, and Monique. But we all pretty much work collaboratively. So our recommendations were based on some of the research that we did and our own like separate parts and how we came together and figured out what needed to be added to the marketing strategy. So from the personas, a lot of the interviews that we did, we found different demographics. So we interviewed some people from educational institutions, people in IT, people who may have founded their own startups, and people who were actually like in consulting for like tech, health, and government consulting. So some of the responses that we got from the interviews was that there were like time constraints on executing like digital accessibility within an organization, and there were also some financial constraints. But all of the people that we interviewed were very interested in getting more information about digital accessibility from ReVelo. So from that, we suggested that maybe ReVelo could produce blogs or white papers and other industry knowledge as marketing material to sort of position themselves as industry leaders within the digital accessibility market. And to also, with the marketing of iAccessible, to emphasize the cost-effective pricing structure and the fact that it won't take super long for your organization's digital platforms to be analyzed because of the time and financial constraints that were mentioned in the interviews. As far as landing pages go, there was a lot of focus on design and the type of wording that was used. So we wanted ReVelo to design the pages with brief and direct descriptions of what consumer stands to receive from the product or service, and to include phrases with detailed value so that everything is just all like in the same place. And of course, calls to actions, because the point of the landing page is that you want a customer to take a direct action from that page. With the emails, we looked at different traffic times and when people would be most likely to open an email. And to also make sure that it's optimized for both mobile and desktop, because a lot of people use email on their phones. And we also wanted to implement in digital accessibility in the emails as well. So using certain colors for certain words, and making sure that even the marketing materials that are made are also digitally accessible. From a supplementary standpoint, looking at the LinkedIn Sales Navigator, because it's like B2B and we're targeting educational institutions and various other markets. LinkedIn is kind of the home for these particular demographics. So being sure to optimize using LinkedIn Sales Navigator to grow the brand, connections, and the customer base. And then lastly, focusing a majority of the budget on email marketing and using a tiered strategy for marketing spend, and then set a cap based on a standard percentage of sales or forecasted revenue. So those were the recommendations we had, kind of based on the different sectors of the marketing strategy that we created for ReVelo's iAccessible product.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Monique and Niall. Next, we have our EarlyCharm Ventures team.
Hi, so my name is David. I'll be representing our EarlyCharm team, which includes Jean, Anikat, and Jamie. So EarlyCharm Ventures is a venture capital studio that specializes in taking scientific discoveries from universities and forming companies around them. So EarlyCharm is merging 4 of their material science companies into a single new company called Materic to capitalize on the synergies between them. And so our task was to create a pitch deck that attracts potential investors to illustrate why they should give Materic some capital. So essentially how we went about this is we researched each company very thoroughly to identify what their strengths and weaknesses was, and then identify what synergies between those companies existed. And then we had to develop a comprehensive plan or our pitch deck to explain these synergies to potential investors. So our project recommendations essentially were what we envisioned the future of Metallic was and what we'd like to highlight in our pitch deck. So the first thing was the customization and the uniqueness, which was the competitive advantage for Metallic in the electrospinning industry, as they're not the only ones, but they are one of the few that allow you to customize the manufacturing process. The second is to continue their consulting and custom manufacture part of it so that they're able to fund their internal product development until they are able, or at least until their internal products are able to be commercialized and maintain the primary business. So that'd be the third is internal products is what we really push for, is that they need to get fully commercialized, and they will in the future. And once they become the primary product, the value of the company will increase immensely. And lastly is licensing, is that the plan should be to develop relationships with large chemical and pharmaceutical companies so that they can utilize these economies of scale and get their proprietary technology out into the market. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Thank you so much, team. Let me get us back up here. Up next, we have our Nothing But Nets team.
Hi everyone, my name is Christine and I am the project manager for Nothing But Nets. Next slide, please. This is our team. I'm so thankful for my team because they're so wonderful to work with. And our project is unique in a sense that we had to do a lot of research and analyzing that information. So it works out so great that we have 2 information system students and then 3 public health students because we're all used to doing research. And then now Shamie will talk a little bit more about our project.
So our client was Nothing But Nets, and Nothing But Nets is a nonprofit United Nations recognized organization that strives to fight against malaria and just strives to fight against malaria through advocacy and funding. This project dealt with a lot of research and data analysis, as our main goal was to create a long-term prospecting pipeline in order to find potential partners for Nothing But Nets. So we looked at organizations such as Malaria No More and the Against Malaria Foundation, just to see who they were partnered with and also figure out which industries would be a great fit for a potential partnership. And these companies that we researched, they had similar views with Nothing But Nets, and they were also aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And these companies also varied from different industries, such as the healthcare industry, the food and nutrition industry, the technological industry, and the educational industry. A few of our companies consisted of Microsoft, Home Depot, Johnson & Johnson, Kimberly-Clark, and Nestle. In the end, we had about 21 companies in total, and we ranked their potential based off of a criteria point ranking system that we, the UMD team, have developed. And our final deliverable included a presentation following up with a final report of our research, including the criteria ranking system that we created, to the clients and to the development team of Nothing But Nets. And I will pass it back to Christine.
Thank you. And like Shamie said earlier, we did a lot of research. So our final report was the main presentation, essentially. We did do a presentation in our last client meeting, but it was just not enough time, not enough space. So our final report is consisting of everything we have ever done, every research we've done, so that they can always refer back to it. Like Shamie said earlier, we had 21 companies, and these are the 5 industries that we found them in. So surprisingly, there was some opportunities in the technology industry as well. Nothing But Nets can do some of these things that we're suggesting if they wish to, but with the current pandemic situation, we're not sure if they're applicable at this point. But the first thing we wanted to do was ask them to organize conferences and invite potential partners. We know that Nothing But Nets hosts a lot of events for their different target audiences, but what we realized was there wasn't a lot of targeted conferences for potential partners. And then we could help these potential partners understand the importance of Nothing But Net's mission. One thing they could do is educate the potential partners on the issues that Nothing But Net is dealing with, or the partners could maybe through Nothing But Net, they could get to meet people who are in different areas around the world who are going through malaria-related problems. It could be health representatives, it could be families who are dealing with this, it could be survivors from malaria or other vector-borne diseases. And then another thing could be learning about success stories that Nothing But Nets has had in the past, or success stories about people or staff in these endemic areas where malaria is prevalent. So this way we could, or Nothing But Nets could kind of pull in these potential partners by showing what they've done, how they've achieved it, and why they're doing this. I think that could be very, it's a strong selling point. And also in return, we were thinking that Nothing But Nets should offer certain resources. Of course, we can't just offer everything, but definitely their expertise in dealing with these kind of vector-borne diseases and other health education materials. And we're not talking about all private connections, of course, but if there are certain private connections that the potential partner is in desperate need of, maybe Nothing But Nets could sort of use that, not as a leverage, but maybe like a compromise to work together to achieve their common goals. And lastly, Nothing But Nets could create a campaign with this potential partner for the target audience of that potential partner. So it would essentially be like Nothing But Nets is contributing time and manpower to help their potential partners' cause. And then we do realize that Nothing But Nets has a lot of social media presence to an extent, but a lot of millennials or even younger generations, we're always on our phones. And I think that if Nothing But Nets starts to use Instagram or other modes that maybe even I don't even know, so that way we can reach more audiences. And even younger people, you'll notice that they're more active these days. They're more aware of the world and they want to participate. So by getting through to them, we could potentially get more, not support, but maybe spread the word to about malaria and about Nothing But Nets, about their potential partners. And in our research, we realized that there were 2 blind spots. Access doesn't mean usage. What that means is that one of Nothing But Net's main goals were to give out mosquito nets to the people living in endemic areas. But the thing is, sometimes they don't want to use it. After health educators teach them how to use it, maybe they'll do it for a while, maybe they'll get lazy. Or maybe they'll think that, oh, it's the hot season, it's the warm, it's a cold season, like we don't really need it in this season, that sort of thing. Or maybe because they personally haven't experienced any symptoms or any disease in their family, maybe they don't take it as seriously. So that is a blind spot that Nothing But Nets should work around. Another thing is fear of hunger trumps the fear of disease. So many people in different developing areas, through research and through personal experience, I've noticed that disease is not a priority when you're hungry, when you don't have a place to live, when you don't have a job, or when you don't have money to do anything else. So for them, maybe they might use that mosquito net for something else. In some personal stories I've heard, they use it for catching fish. They use it for protecting their vegetable garden, things like that. So maybe these 2 blind spots could shed light on how Nothing But Nets or other malaria organizations can approach this differently, approach it at a grassroots level so that they can lift these people from poverty and maybe after that, after their basic needs are secure, maybe they will start to focus a little bit more on malaria. I want to thank everyone for your time and attention. I really want to thank my team and our advisor, Sachi, and Nothing But Nets. And I hope everyone has a great evening.
Thanks for seeing Shemi and team. It was great hearing from your experiences. And up next, we have BioEnergy Devco.
Thanks, Nima. I'm sure you hear everyone. Nice to meet you all, and thank you all for presenting your work. I was the project lead on this project. I will hand it over to my teammate, Emmanuel, who's going to walk us through the team members, the project, and the client as well. Thank you. Emmanuel, you can take over.
Yep. So as Bishar mentioned, he was the project lead for our team. We also had David Tang as our master student, and then myself, Justin, and Tara as 3 undergraduates in our project. Our company was BioEnergy Devco. They use anaerobic digestion to recycle organics that are destined for incineration or landfills, which creates renewable natural gas and healthy living soils. And the company is a world leader in the finance, design, construction, engineering, and operation of anaerobic digestion facilities. So BioEnergy Devco gave us 2 general projects to work on, a marketing and data analysis project. So what we have here is the solution vision for both of those projects in general, where we recognize that their current state was that they were estimating the target client waste tonnage based on EPA metrics. They also had social media profiles that were recently started but had little traction. And they also had a RFI, request for information document, which kind of merged the concept of marketing with data. And the gap that we saw that they had was understanding how their current clients are in order to gauge those attributes to look at target clients. They had no model for developing, or excuse me, guessing the waste tonnage for their target clients. And we also wanted to help them find ways to have meaningful engagement with on social media with their target clients, which are municipalities, utilities, and corporations. And we recognize that their ideal state would be to have an efficient method of estimating tonnages and costs, clients directly providing information that they could compile, and lastly, social media presence that is focused on reaching out to target clients, but also educating the general public about what the company is and how their operations work. So our work and scope of our deliverables consisted of creating a social media calendar and also designing all the posts that they would use for this month of August 2020, which kind of helped them map out what to do on their platforms of Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. We also developed recommendations for their social media presence and delved into general marketing tactics, both paid and organic. For example, BDC allowed us into their Facebook and LinkedIn ad managers just so that we could help provide recommendations based on what we were seeing for their future trajectory. We also provided the general recommendations that LinkedIn would be best for corporations and utilities. Twitter could be a good way to access all 3 of their audiences, while Facebook was the best way to reach out to municipalities and some corporations as well. We also provided a data analysis of information from their existing clients and identified 2 trends, even though it was a small data set, that they should be willing to pay attention to. We also designed a general data model that could estimate the annual tonnage of waste that was provided by their target clients. And we built a network of sustainability contacts and organizations, which allows BDC to kind of look into areas where they could reach sustainability professionals in different organizations, and kind of as a different means of collecting data as we are no longer consulting with them past July. But overall, it was a very great project to help this company that is focused on sustainability and making a better impact on the earth.
Thank you, Emmanuel, Bishoy, and BioEnergy Devco team. Next, we have Operation A.R.T.S.
Hi, I'm Ariana, the team lead for the Operation A.R.T.S project. We had an awesome team. Margaret and Yi Yang were our finance experts, with Maya, Sarah, and Emily providing research, marketing, and project management expertise. Our project was heavily based in research, analyzing that research, informing business recommendations to our clients, China and Renee, the co-founders of Operation A.R.T.S. Operation A.R.T.S is a nonprofit focused on supporting artists and allowing them to make a living off of their work. They came to us with a lofty goal to build a live workspace for artists in either Baltimore or DC called Imagination Factory. This space is to include a coffee stand, apartments, rentable studio space, and a cafe. They originally had a goal of a large warehouse space. However, our research informed the recommendation to start small. We identified the DC neighborhood of the 8th Street corridor as a prime location to start and made the recommendation to open a second sister location once their first location was running and turning a profit. Our final deliverables as a team were providing research and recommendations to Operation A.R.T.S to identify an ideal location for Imagination Factory, target grants, and financial mapping in order for them to have a realistic expectation and finalize their business plan, which they can then use to apply for grants and other funding. We bundled all our research as well as our recommendations into our final deliverables so they always have that information to refer back to. Margaret is going to explain the grants probability chart that we produced for them, which is the next slide.
So as Ariana said, they were a nonprofit organization, therefore they relied heavily upon receiving a grant. And so we researched several grants. However, there was a lot, so we wanted to organize it in a way where they can focus their energy and resources on actually getting one, because there's a lot of research in writing a grant. So just to explain this probability tree, the ones in rectangular are the ones that they have mastery over, that they can choose. And the things in circles are probabilities, which they don't really, it's sort of up to chance. And so these were the grants that we felt like were the best grants, where they had the highest probability of receiving and which also had high grant amounts. And so for each one, we had, if they would have a 50-50 chance of whether they would receive the grant or not. And then for the next probability, so for example, for Catalyst Fund, it splits off into 40% and 60% because many of the grants, they had a lower level amount or a higher level amount. So what we did was that we put lower probabilities for a higher grant amount and higher probability for a lower grant amount. And so we did that for each one. And if you follow the red arrows, we arrive at the expected value, so the best outcome. And on the side, we also have the estimated monetary value, which helps us to look at it more realistically. And therefore, to calculate that, we would, so for example, for Catalyst Fund, we would look at take the 50% probability of receiving the grant and then multiply it by the 40% of getting the highest amount, which is 70,000. So it'd be 50% times 40% times 70,000, and our estimated monetary value would be 14,000 from the Catalyst Fund. And so we did that for all of them, and we sort of presented that to Operation A.R.T.S to give them a sense of how much money they can expect from their grants.
Thank you, Margaret. And here we have our final revenue analysis, breaking out the gross and net revenue for their first year operating Imagination Factory. It's pretty self-explanatory, so I'll let you guys take a peek at what we have here. The net potential that we mapped out for them is based on them having full rental capacity. So we broke out in other research that we provided to them, not represented here, we broke out the probability of them receiving that amount of revenue each year. And thank you to my team. You guys rock. This was a really great experience getting to know all of you and working together on this project.
Fantastic job, Ariana and Margaret. You have the chat room blowing up about this probability tree. Before the College Park Academy team, I'm just going to take 2 seconds to correct the screen share. Just looks like perfect. All right, we are back in screen share mode. College Park Academy team, you are up.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're College Park Academy project team. I'm July. With advisor Gosan and Ankit, we have spent about 2 months doing marketing plan with 6 people in the group. Today, me and Paul will do the presentation. First, I would like to give you a brief introduction to CPA. College Park Academy is a prestigious public charter school located in PG County. CPA is piloting 2 new paid classes, Chinese and entrepreneurship, that will be available to everyone, regardless of their enrollment status at CPA. Our task during the past 2 months was to develop a detailed, scalable, and cost-effective marketing plan that can generate real enrollments for their new Chinese and entrepreneurship program. Okay, here's what we have done in the past 2 months. First, we recommend CPA to create a microsite which can be shared through digital ads, email, and social media. And email marketing would mainly focus on current CPA and UMD students and alumni parents. And also for Chinese program, we would also reach out for families from Confucius Institute database. As for social media, except for current CPA and UMD students and alumni parents, we also recommend sending postcards with QR code through parent groups on Facebook and do social media campaign. We also recommend CPA to launch search engine optimization and display ads campaign at the same time, as well as retargeting. As for postcards, we recommend to do both online and offline, but focusing on online during the COVID-19 situation. And also, we encourage CPA to do webinars for existing parents and community, in which they can invite UMD tutors as guest speakers, and also giving rewards to students who can bring their friend in. Also, CPA can also encourage students and parents to share their experience with CPA on social media with our designed hashtags. And next, Paul will present what we have learned.
Thank you, July. Apologies if there's any background noise. My power's out, so I'm on my very kind neighbor's porch right now. So one thing that we learned was time management. The tasks, we were getting new tasks pretty much every week, so we had to figure out how to best allot for the time to complete those. And then we also got experience interacting within our teams and just working around each other's schedules and also each other's strengths. And then in addition to gaining experience with our team, we also gained experience working with our client and being able to cater the information that we were presenting them to meet their expectations optimally. And lastly, we learned many different marketing and design skills, like the deliverables that July just went over, like conducting and creating market research surveys, designing mock ads and mock ads to send out or put on Google, and also just creating professional PowerPoints. Thank you.
Thanks so much, July and Paul. And Paul, hopefully your power comes back. It's a struggle for all of us tonight.
Thank you.
Next, we've got the Ivy City Smokehouse team.
Hi, my name's Ben Brody, and I'll be speaking on behalf of the Ivy City Smokehouse team. I want to start by thanking my amazing team who I had the privilege of working with on this project. Sophie, Sushil, Ziki, Spencer, and Vitter. This project would not have worked if it wasn't for every single one of you. So I want to thank you all. And I want to thank everyone else for being here tonight and being able to give these great presentations and telling us about what you've been working on this project. So we have been working with City Smokehouse, which is a restaurant and bar located in Washington, D.C., but they're currently planning on moving to Prince George's County. And they also have plans of acquiring Profish, which is a wholesale salmon company. And they also have plans to build a recirculating aquaculture system, which is their own fish farm. So they can actually raise their own salmon also in PG County. So they want to move all these different facilities into Prince George's County and have their own form of vertical integration in the salmon market. And their plan is to have a zero waste operation that they can provide high quality fish to local people in Prince George's County, and to also be able to sell this fish all over the country and be able to show off their Maryland brand and get Maryland that good reputation for salmon. Next slide, please. So for our project, City Smokehouse is preparing a presentation to give towards Prince George's County policymakers. They're hoping to receive some funding from Prince George's County to help move all these different facilities from DC to Prince George's County. So the different benefits they wanted us to look at are economic benefits, such as revenue earned from the smokehouse being in Prince George's County, and also the fish they will be selling online through retail and also through wholesale to different restaurants. Taxable income of all the employees who are working in both the restaurant and in the fish farm, the recirculating aquaculture system, and then also all the different jobs that will be created from this opportunity. They also wanted us to look at the environmental benefits, and that included a lot of different sustainable advantages of using a recirculating aquaculture system compared to their current way of getting fish, which is importing from other countries. And lastly, they wanted us to do research into different community benefits, such as the tourism that it'll bring to the county, such as people who are coming to buy food from the restaurant or to take tours of the recirculating aquaculture system. Another community benefit that they wanted us to do research into was marketing for the Maryland brand when they're selling their salmon through wholesale all across the country. And also a partnership with UMD to do research and learn more about potential ways to help the environment through recirculating aquaculture systems and how to best utilize them in the county. Next slide, please. So in the final recommendation, a lot of our focus was on these sustainable advantages of how a recirculating aquaculture system is much better for the environment than the typical way of farming in ponds or in ocean water with nets. The first of which being the fact of reusable waste. So when they are raising these fish in these recirculating aquaculture systems, they have complete control of the system and are therefore able to take the waste from the fish and use it for many different purposes. One of these is through aquaponics, which is being able to take the fish waste and actually creating plants from it. So they can then use these plants to either feed the fish again or actually use them in the restaurant to make the restaurant look really nice. And another way they can use the waste is actually using it to create energy, which is called anaerobic digestion, which is something that they're doing a lot of research on right now in their partnership with the IMET team at UMBC, which is a group of professors who are very knowledgeable on aquaculture and who are using this waste to actually create energy. And they're estimating that they can actually power 10% of their systems with the waste from the fish. So that would be really helpful for the environment in terms of reusable energy. Another huge advantage is water preservation. The R.A.S. uses only 10% of the water that's required in a typical pond culture. And because they're able to build the R.A.S. in Prince George's County, they'll be able to significantly reduce the imports, obviously. So since they won't be importing from across the country, they'll be able to reduce carbon emissions that come from typical imports. And lastly, the fact that it's in such an isolated environment that they'll be growing the fish, they won't be affecting the oceans, and it'll be helping keeping the oceans cleaner. So this was a really cool project for us because we were able to learn about this market that most of us had never heard of before, of aquaculture, at least that we didn't know a lot about. And learning about all these cool sustainable advantages that are going to come from this project was a great experience. Thank you.
Fantastic to hear, and thank you so much, Ben. Like we're seeing in the chat room, feel free to keep these connections alive with your clients. If there's any thoughts, future presentations you see that are relevant, keep the family going. Some of these projects might be projects again for a future consulting group. Up next, we have Black Girl Ventures.
Hey everyone, my name is Robert Pinover. I think I'm presenting alone tonight. We had Black Girl Ventures. Next slide, I can't remember. So Black Girl Ventures' mission is to provide Black, brown women identifying founders with access to communities, educations, leadership development, and economic advancement through entrepreneurship. So we really worked with them, basically focusing on revenue generation and ways to facilitate further revenue generation outside of donations. So you flick to the next one. So as I mentioned, they have a very large community of very engaged individuals. They have several chapters across a number of cities. And again, they're mainly driven, if not entirely driven, by donations at this point. So as part of their business plan development, we wanted to focus on, basically through a number of conversations with them, we narrowed it down to focus only on revenue generation, whether it be new forms of generation or development upon existing offerings so that they are now revenue generators. So, and that would then create, again, an ideal state, a sustainable method of revenue generation outside of those donations which come and go. So next slide. This ended up being 5 recommendations, focusing on, again, some new recommendations and some retargeting of already existing offerings. The main ones being monetized survey reports, which is effectively gathering, they do surveys when they do their fundraisers, things like that. They do national ones too. So the idea was to take that information, provide context to it, and pair with a sponsor to gain revenue on it. Monetized training offerings, they right now offer a variety of training, and they offer actually a monthly paid group-like community for startups. So this was a way to look at creating a la carte training offerings that cost money, again, to further the revenue stream. Partnerships, of course, are partnering with different companies and grants, foundations, things like that, to work with them and to hopefully achieve and grow their mission. Revenue risk management, we also went through and broke out how they can better build a risk management plan, again, focusing on their revenue and how to make a better net overall. And finally, pitch competition monetization. The pitch competition is the core of their offering, where everyone, a number of companies basically present their concept, and whoever has the best pitch wins money. But we also looked at ways we could monetize it for Black Girl Ventures specifically, through advertising, streaming, and partnering and things like that.
Thanks so much, Robert. We have our Ovalz team up next.
Hi, everybody. My name is Diana, and we work with Ovalz during this past 2 months. Ovalz is basically a streamlined inventory management service. So they are a startup, and we help them by creating a brand communication strategy. So we divided our work in 2 phases. In phase 1, we really needed to understand who they were. And then in phase 2, we make the brand come alive. So in phase one, which was basically all the work done during June, we interview the team, we interview the board of advisors, we did a competitive analysis, and then we put all of this together by analyzing the what, the how, and the why of the company. And then we created the brand platform this last month. And we gave finally some recommendations based on the brand we created for all of their social media and their website. So this is part of the competitive analysis, in which basically we did an analysis of all the competitors, and we found that Ovalz was located in the first quadrant, and they should appeal to the audience, which is small businesses, as an emotional and customer-centric value company.
Hi, I'm Caroline, and I also worked on the Ovalz project. So the brand platform was really the main deliverable that we presented to Ovalz at the end of our time together. And the brand platform is really the basis for all of their future marketing communications. So Ovalz is a startup that's really just getting started with what their brand is going to be. So we're really lucky to be a part of that, building the platform that's going to be the foundation for all of their future marketing communications, both verbal and visual. So the three main parts, as listed here, are the purpose, the commitments, and the design principles. So the purpose is going to be the brand's bigger purpose in terms of what it hopes to achieve for its customers. So as you can see here, Ovalz is really about small businesses and helping them, and that was their main mission, and they really wanted to get that across in all of their interactions with customers. So commitments then are their truly differentiating characteristics that a brand is going to guarantee, and it's all supporting that purpose. So this is going to help align the priorities of the business and influence any big moves that they're going to make. It develops their value proposition, like what makes Ovalz different, special, and their main selling point was that they're a digital inventory service that really helps customers to save time and maximize efficiency so they can get back to what they love doing. And it's something that's trustworthy and reliable that customers can depend on. So finally, the design principles are going to be simple, actionable, and tangible themes that guide how the whole experience is designed, from functionality to feel. So Ovalz had a design that featured efficiency, reliability, adaptability, and user-friendliness. So all of these together helped form that brand platform, and that was something that Ovalz was really excited about and told us how they had already begun implementing with their website, their LinkedIn, and their Instagram, and will hopefully continue to use throughout the company's lifetime. And we were very blessed to be a part of that journey. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Carolyn and Deanna. Up next, we have Uplift Innovation. Alex, if you're speaking, we can't hear you right now. No.
I turned off Bluetooth. Did that help?
That's perfect.
Yeah, so I just took my headphones out. But all right, what's up, guys? I'm Alex. I was the project manager for Uplift, and I did it with my team of 2 master's students and 3 undergrad students. Jacqueline and Juan were the 2 master's students, and then Marie, Tram, and William were the 3 undergrad students. So just started off with a basic background on our client and kind of just like a little insight into what our project focused on. So Bharat has a child on the spectrum, autism spectrum, and he's been an entrepreneur his entire life, originating from India actually, and starting up a bunch of startups in India, and then transitioned over to the United States. So he's familiar with the entrepreneurship market and developing entrepreneurs, but he hadn't really focused on autism. It was something that he wanted to transition to later in his career to help not only his son, but also the entire community as a whole. So basically, he wanted to focus on the ability to connect the community, autism community, with solution providers, such as startups or companies providing innovative solutions to that community in a sort of marketplace format. So we kind of helped him illustrate what that would look like from a high level perspective, and then aspects on business and revenue models similar to, you know, Amazon, any of those virtual e-commerce websites, but more to link the, like I said, the community with these solution providers. And then this is our project. This is just a overview, a really like high level illustration of where we found our spot in the project. So we were developing this business model, right? Establishing Uplift as a marketplace where these startups, the autism related solution providers, and other universities and research institutions would bring ideas that they have and trying to reach the autism marketplace, but don't know either how to access that market, don't have the proper resources to utilize it. So by accessing this centralized location, it was not only beneficial for them, but it added the ability for the community to access one place and find many solutions rather than just going to each of them and reaching out to them. So that was really where we found our value, is in this acting as this middleman website where these solution providers came to us, would post on the website their solutions, and then the community members would come and find solutions that either match their values or match their goals. And the idea was to focus on technology innovations, such as providing augmented or virtual reality, along with machine learning applications to virtual software towards the autism community. So it's really focusing on this cutting edge technology that's being adapted in a bunch of different areas. So we would bring it to, like I said, the caregivers and parents are part of the community, as well as clinical partners in the healthcare setting, are all different markets that we targeted, and hope to provide solutions to each of them and the different audiences. We'd work with them to evaluate, you know, which of these companies would be beneficial in technology, how they could utilize it in their practice, and also added the ability to submit reviews, right? It's important to have these honest reviews from other members of the community posting, so that the feedback aspect, you get some sort of trust. When you go and use it and you see 100 people rated it 5-star, you feel more open to the opportunity for it. So it's less risky for you as a community member, and it gives the startups incentive to provide a good service so that they get good and solid reviews. So by utilizing this position where we're constantly connecting between both of these areas and staying up to date with reviews, following up on negative reviews, maybe companies that were doing very well, we'd focus more resources towards them as they're providing a better service than maybe some of the other companies that we supply. We'd focus on that as well. And then we'd scale, like I said, scale startups that were doing well and scale back on investments for those that maybe didn't have good reviews, weren't as popular, or were not doing as well overall. And then our recommendation is, this is our just revenue model and how we would invest in these companies over time. So what we're going to do is invest 10 to 20% of our funds between 5 to 10 companies. So if it was 5 companies, we'd invest 20% of the respective fund size towards each of the companies and allocate it in appropriate ways. And we would monitor and record the company's current progress. Maybe the consumers that were in the ASD community that were interacting with them, how much business they're getting, foot traffic that's going towards them, and then evaluate them after 1 year of being in our portfolio. And then once we go to the evaluation stage, this is where we'd use our quantitative analysis, metrics on 1 to 5 scales based off of, you know, companies' deliverables, the customers' acquisition, and the reviews, as well as future plans and the community impact, because it's a really important factor, is the overall ability to help this community. And based on these ratings, we would then allocate more money, the same amount of money, or no money at all in the phase 2, in the addition to adding a couple more companies into our portfolio. So if a company rated in their metrics fell under the unsatisfactory category, we'd have no future investments for that company, and we would halt them in phase 2. If they had satisfactory, we would give them the same investment that they received in the first phase. And then if they were above satisfactory, again, based on these metrics that I previously described, we would give them an additional 20% of the initial investment, along with adding 1 to 3 companies to our portfolio and starting them at phase 1 in a 1-year cyclical pattern. And then overall, we would just evaluate, like I said, those companies over time in their appropriate manner, follow up with them just to see how it goes and impact the community in that way. And that's it. Thanks.
So, Alex, I've gotten a lot of direct chats. Is that a real background or is that where you are right now?
Oh, this is my apartment complex.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm on like the clubhouse. I'm just up here because I don't have like a desk in my bedroom. I just moved like a week ago, so I'm kind of limited in where I can do it. But yeah, this is just my background. It was built like a year and a half ago, so it's pretty new.
A lot of people love it. Been getting a lot.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for everyone who joined us this evening. If you'd like to be involved with our center moving forward, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or our newsletter, which has amazing opportunities like our Impact Consulting Fellowship. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We really, truly appreciate all of you. This was an amazing undertaking of founding an entirely new program to Smith. Thank you to the students. Thank you to the alumni. Thank you to the corporate partners. Thank you to Nicole for leading all of the amazing professional development sessions. And thank you to Julie, who basically made this happen and was the backbone of making sure all of this organization, events, clients were possible. Without her, none of this could have ever happened. Now, with that being said, 2 students that Simone on our team has randomly drawn and hopefully are still on the call. We've been eliminating people as they come off. If your name is called and you unmute yourself, you've just won $25 and just shoot me an email. Ishwar Sashandri, are you still on the call? Hopefully going once. Ishwar, if you're on the call, unmute yourself.
He's here. He's on the call. He's on the call.
He's on the call? Okay, perfect. Perfect. Just shoot me an email. And then Carolyn Dull, if you are still on the call, unmute yourself or shoot a chat and someone wave at me that I need.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I won.
Congratulations. Both of you just shoot me a quick one-line email saying you won. And if you are here through Suitable and are getting the iSmith points for this event, if you're a rising sophomore in the Smith School, please feel free to scan this QR code. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Nicole and I have been chatting about a potential fall iteration and are finalizing our ideas, and we'll be in touch soon. Have a great evening, everyone.